today we're gonna be lowering the Trailblazer. I got the full kit in. It took like a week and a half to get all the miscellaneous pieces all together. A little dirty, but we're gonna lower it. I got the 30.5-inch drop. We're gonna start with the front here. I'm gonna go ahead and get measurements from the fender right here to the center of the wheel and the ground. I got a piece of paper that said always measure from the center of the wheel. So I might just do that, but I'm also gonna get the ground one. All we're gonna need for this is, I got the upper control arms just to prevent any kind of camber that will be affected when the car is lowered, so we'll correct that. We're gonna use the factory spring, but the kit did come with, well, I purchased the upper control arm, a new strut, and that's it. Control arms and struts right there, or shocks, whatever you want to call them. And like I said, we're gonna use factory spring. So let's go ahead and get the measurements down first, and then we're gonna start taking things apart. All right, here are my measurements. It's my ride height before. This is from the ground, obviously right here, and then mid wheel from essentially right in this area. Keep in mind it's a very rough estimate, but almost the same on both sides. So let's lower it and let's see what we get next. Also, this kit I got from DSP. I was gonna go with a more well-known company, but unfortunately they just never got back to me, so I left it as that and moved on. So like I said, this is the struts right here, and then control arms in here. It does look like the control arms I do have to assemble the grease fittings in there, so I'm gonna go ahead and toss them in there and then throw these on. And these are spacers that go on both sides. They do come with detailed instructions on how to do it too. And I don't think this one does, but oh yeah, it does. So let's get to it. All right, here what the struts look like. There's a diagram that tells you how much you need to take off to get the appropriate lowering height for this, but I'm just gonna take them all off. Now you can't take it off without removing this, so let me see how to remove this. I think it's probably just a flat head under there, and then I'll show you guys on the other one how exactly I did it. All right, so I took it off. It's really straightforward, not a lot of effort. You just flat head in there, wiggle it up, and it comes right out. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna take off all of these to get it as low as we can. All right, so we got these assembled. These little things that hold up the spring. I actually think it might, no, that one's perfect. They go on. In order for these to go on, you do have to remove this. So keep this off and then place this on, put this on top. Now for the upper control arms, it says, the instructions say you have to like do all the extra work in order to get those fittings inside. It's pretty much giving you instructions on how to drill them out and stuff like that, but they already came pre-drilled. So we just need to throw in some grease, put on these fittings, and these should be good to go. All right, I went ahead and placed them in. All you need to do is snug them up. Now, put some grease in them. All right, got the car jacked it up from the middle right there. Got 2 jack stands. First thing we're gonna do is try to get the brake lines and the sensor out of the way, just because I don't want them to rip once this falls, and then we'll take it from there. So we gotta unclip this guy, this one. I know there's one behind here, that one, and then these 2 bolts right here are for the brake lines. So let's disconnect those. You could zip tie them somewhere else. I like to use bungee cords just because they're reusable. So yeah, unclip these and do this. I'm pretty sure if you just get a flat head, you would be able to open them up. These are little clips and you can remove the wire. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, undid the 2 bolts holding onto the brake line, so that's loose. Undid these clips. This one went right in here. And push that out. Obviously this clip opened up and this clip was all the way up in there. Cool. So they're not too much in the way, so I don't have to worry about putting any kind of bungee cords on those or zip ties. So now we're gonna undo this bolt right here for the sway bar for the upper control arm. and then these 2 larger bolts, as well as the 2 on top for the strut. Alright, a quick update on where I'm at. So remember, I disconnected all these, disconnected the sway bar link. This one was kind of interesting because the bolt moves itself, so you have to get a small little Allen key looking piece inside there, and then a 21mm on the outside. Me, I didn't have an Allen key that looked just like that, so I used this one, a T45, and I used this. Able to get it out, it came out smooth. I just undid this one right here, which was this bolt that went across and holds it in place. And then I had to get a small little sledgehammer. Sorry, the thing was rolling. Small little sledgehammer, and hit it, pounded it. And I had to move this on the inside of that just to get this to come out. But a little bit of time, that came out, and good thing the ball joint's still good, so I don't have to replace that. Now I am working on removing these guys back here. Not sure what size they are, but I'm still using this and loosening them up. They're extremely easy. I don't think they're actually torqued down to spec, because they're extremely easy to come undone. So let's go ahead and remove this, and then we're gonna remove the 2 top bolts that hold in the strut. But before we do that, I need to loosen this guy. I took out the bolt that was right here, but what common issue with these is they tend to rust at the bottom a lot and they get stuck. I don't have any WD-40, so I might have to go get some, or try to do something else, oil or something that could penetrate that and help me out a little bit. But I am going to use this pry bar thing, see if I can open this up a little bit and hammer it out. Let's remove the upper control arm first. Alright, finally got the strut out right over there. Keep in mind, you're going to be reusing the spring and the top cap, so you're just going to move everything over there. But to get it out of here was the pain in my ass. It literally took me like 30 minutes to get it out. So I don't have a WD-40, but on the next one, we added a little bit of oil, and that helped a lot. So I'm going to add a little bit of oil on that side before I even get to it, because that shit was a pain in the ass. I was doing all types of shit to try to open this. Let's see, this piece open right here. I finally got it out. So sun's almost going down, so let's hurry up and try to get this side done and hop onto the next side. Alright everybody, it is the next day after lowering the Trailblazer, half the Trailblazer. So here it is. Haven't done the back yet, just did the front. Let me show you guys really quick. This process, it actually looks pretty good right now, but this took forever. This literally took me all fucking day yesterday. And I guess it's like a known fact when you're lowering it with these kits that the right always sits slightly lower than the left, which I am noticing. But I took out all the rings as I showed in the first video, or not the first video, as I showed yesterday. And yeah, I don't want to go back in and put the rings in. But it took me all fucking day, almost 10 hours to do just the front. And let me tell you why. Because these struts right here. So I pinpointed everything you guys have to unbolt and do in order to essentially do the replacement for the struts, shocks, and the upper control arms. Obviously you're going to replace everything from the factory struts or the original struts, and you're going to use them on the new one. Well, these things develop so much rust at the bottom. In order to get this out of the lower control arm or whatever these sit in, you have to like pry it open back and forth, hit it. You can tell this is bent. This took forever to fucking remove. You can see we kind of missed a couple spots right here, but like it develops so much rust that it just gets stuck in there. And also the fitting where it's clamped onto is super fucking tight, so you have to like try to pry it open and wiggle this out. You have to bolt it back to the top of the whatever the mount is that's under the engine bay, hit it down and do all types of shit just to get it out. So this for one side took about an hour just to get out. Now the top part, once I removed it, over here there's a nut right here, a locking nut, and then there's an Allen key at the top that you're supposed to put inside, and then you twist them the opposite way, because if you just twist the bolt, like, this whole thing will move, so technically it doesn't come out. So what I did was I put the Allen key in there, and as soon as I turned the nut, the Allen key stroked. So just trying to figure out how to get this off took another hour. So like I cut it down the middle with the saw, and try to see if I could use a flathead inside there while I twisted the nut. That didn't work, it just broke off a piece. So I had to do a lot just to take this out, and these, just to remove the bolts on each one, took over an hour. So you can imagine, an hour from the bottom, an hour from the top, on both sides. And then came the process of, obviously, the driver's side, the upper control arm bolt that's closest to the headlights. You have to rip off some of the metal that's around there in order for the bolt to come out. But lucky enough, when I had the car serviced a while back, they ended up replacing the upper control arms. So they cut a slot for me, but the slot, I don't know how they did it because it still wasn't big enough, so I kind of had to bend it a little bit. But I got it done. So time to get started on the rear, and hopefully it doesn't take me nearly as long. It shouldn't be that hard, just because it's only a shock. On each side there's a shock. Pop out the coil spring, remove the airbags, and it'll be all set. So let's go through that process really quick before I dive into it. And here I have the replacement struts, or replacement shocks. I ordered new bump stops that are actually smaller. So on the front, the bump stops that it come with, you're supposed to use, but you're supposed to cut them about 1.5 inches in length. So you cut off the bottom side, and I did that with like a handsaw. I got the helper bags, and these things are surprisingly really fucking small, and these go inside the coils. I haven't seen anyone install the rear bags with a drop kit, so I wasn't able to really find a video on it, but it just seems pretty self-explanatory. And then the lowering kit that they gave me was this one by QA1. So yeah, let's get to it. Also, I got a Panhard bar that's going to correct the way the wheels sit, because or you might not know, but when you lower the car, the rear end is going to shift out one way or another, and the Panhard bar is to correct that. So let's get started. Also, another thing to notate is you're going to want to release some of the air from the rear bags, because they are going to have a lot of pressure, which isn't a bad thing, but when you're able to move them slightly, it's going to be easier to remove. Yeah, my car tends to leak a lot of air, so like every day in the morning I hear the compressor kick on to raise up the car, and then while I'm driving too, the compressor will kick on. If I'm driving like 20 minutes, I might hear it like 3 times. So it's been parked for like an hour or so, so hopefully it's had some time to leak out some of the air, so I'm able to move it a little bit more. But we're gonna find out in a minute. And then I got the large Panhard bar right here, and I'll show you guys what that looks like in a second. All right, we got the wheel off, we got it jacked up on both sides, and then just the jack supporting the rear end. You don't need it like that, but I just have it there for now. So we're gonna need to remove the shock itself, so the upper bolt right here and the lower bolt right down there. The bump stops right here, these ones are just pressed in, so you're gonna have to just wiggle it out a little bit, use some WD-40 to loosen it up if you can. And then here's the adjuster for the rear bags. So if you didn't get this kit, you just want to lower it with just this itself, you would remove this top bolt, loosen up this one, and then you would drop this arm down while it's sitting, or while it's more leveled, and then the airbags would release, and they will only go up to a certain height. So the lower you put it, the more it's gonna drop down. I'm not sure if I need to do this with the lowering kit itself, but I am gonna remove this bolt and loosen up this rear one. I think what that does is just honestly reduces the PSI that goes into the airbag. So I actually might just leave it the same, so I get the same PSI on the smaller airbags, so it could support more. Because keep in mind, if you lower it, you get more of a a shittier ride because there's less air inside there. But yeah, and then this large bar right here, this is the Panhard bar, and I'll be removing it with this bolt right here, and then just one towards the bottom. Now the airbags themselves, see, this one's actually very stiff, so there's still a lot of fucking air in here. They just pop on to the top part, so it's a little bit rusty, so you might have to finesse it a little bit. At the very top though, it twists on, so it's like a little locking lever. And the thing with these cars, especially mine, if there's a lot of fucking rust, it might prevent it from coming out smoothly. But there is a way you could release the air from here without having to wait, and that is with the compressor that's right under here. So side of the car, compressor, you will undo these two bolts, it will come down, and then you will see the compressor, and then you could essentially detach the hose, and then the air will release from it. I'm gonna try to do it without having to get to the compressor. I mean, I can if I wanted to, but if I could just do it without having to do this little bit of extra work, I think that might be better. So let me start by removing the shock, the upper shock, or the upper shock bolt, the lower bolt, and then the bump stop right there. And then it will just be the bag, then the Panhard bar. So a lot easier than the front, a lot less components to mess around with. So let's get to it. All right, quick update. So went ahead and lowered this side after I took off the shock, and I noticed that it was staying supported on this. So make sure you don't do that, or undo these clips. That way it's not, this cord itself, this wire isn't supporting the rear end. Also, yeah, this is a little too firm to remove right now. It's putting too much pressure down, so I do need to release the air. And you can tell up here that there's a clear wire. I don't know if you can see it in the video. It's a clear wire, and there's two wires that come out of the pump. So we're gonna have the clear, and we're gonna have the black one. The black one goes into the cargo, where you're able to like pump tires and stuff like that. And then this wire right here, our hose, is the one for the rear airbag. So we're gonna undo this with a 10mm. You can already start hearing it leak a little bit. But yeah, keep in mind when removing this housing, or the tray that supports the pump, these clips right here, these two, they're not really clipped. That one and this one, the grooves go on top, so they kind of go into the frame at the very top. So even though you undo these two, you might feel it have some resistance. It's going to be those two teeth that are inside the frame helping support it. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to release the air, and then we're going to pop these out. All right, another update. The lines are actually separate. So this left one right here is for, or this right side is for that left one over there. I think it says right there, left and right, right on top of here. So unplug that one. Now that one's loose. I was gonna take these out like all in one piece, but it required me to remove all this, and I didn't want to do that. I also wanted to reuse these lines, but just the way they're fitted on there, that would have been possible. But the new ones come with lines and everything like that, so I'm gonna have to route. It's gonna take a little bit longer than expected, but still, it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. So let me go ahead and throw in the rear spring. The bag goes inside there, and then we'll see how it looks. All right, got the bag out. I cut the line right there. Not gonna use that. Here's the coil. This airbag was a bitch to get in, but in the description they say you're supposed to have this lines facing upside down, facing the bottom, so it goes through there. But I figured I'm just gonna route it the same way it was routed before. Well, for most cars who don't have a factory airbag in the back like this, then yeah, it makes sense to put it through the bottom, because usually the bump stop will be right on top of here. But since our bump stop is separate, it's on a different in a different area, right there, it makes sense that I'm able to do it through the top again. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that, then get started on the other side. All right, so this is essentially the final product for the install. Got the upper bolt on here. This is loose. Got the bottom one on here. This is loose as well. Got the coil, got the airbag. Just need to route this. I have another fitting that came with the kit that I'll be tapping into there. Comes with like these little clamps, so everything you need to just toss it back inside the little hole for each side. One thing you want to check after you do these lowering kits is just drop it. So some kits that are out there, whenever you go up on a hill or anything like that, whenever the wheel separates the furthest it can without physically disassembling things, the spring will pop out. So after you do your kit, whatever kit that you have, just drop it all the way, so that way it's only being supported by this strut here, and see if the spring falls out. If it does, I don't know, zip tie it, weld it in place, whatever you got to do, make sure that doesn't come down. Get quality parts so that that doesn't happen to you. I'm able to put my hand in there and like try to move it, it doesn't move, so I know that's not gonna fall out. So if I'm out in the city or whatever it is, going up all those fucking hills, if I hit a corner weird and this wheel extends down, I know that spring's not gonna fall out on me. So let's go ahead and do the other side, and then we'll work on the Panhard bar. I want to see if I could use the factory compressor. I actually don't know if I can or cannot, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these off and then clamp these onto the end of these. This wire is a lot bigger than this one, so hopefully I could kind of get around it with how much it's bulging out right there. If not, I'll find something else, and if that still doesn't work, I mean, the car has springs, so it's not like it's gonna sag or anything. I'll mount these somewhere with these on there, and if I ever needed to use it, you know, get like a, you know, I have a compressor built in here, so I could just actually come inside here and air that up. But I like to have it just do it on its own without me having to do anything. So let me see if I could do that, and let's see if we could get away with it. All right, here's the massive Panhard bar that we're gonna install. Just need to remove the 2 bolts on both sides. For the bottom one, you can see there's one right there, and the other one on the other side. They also gave me a little snack with it, so that's funny. Cool, and it comes with these 2 bolts, brand new bolts. But yeah, let's go ahead and install that. All right, here's the old one. This one, pretty self-explanatory. This bolt goes through all the way, and then you need to get, you know, 2 ratchets or a wrench to get that out. This side, on the other side, it's 1 bolt, and it actually bolts into this. And this, I didn't know where it went at first, but I saw it moving around, so it goes up here. And then the bolt's right up in there, or sorry, yeah, right there. Yeah, it'll go right there, the bolt goes on top, and that's how it locks into place. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna expand this one to match this size, because as you can tell, it's a little bit shorter. But you just undo the bolts on that side, and when you're undoing them, it basically expands on each side. So let's go ahead and do that, then we'll throw it back in. All right, move the car to a more level surface. You can tell the front is dropped. The right ended up coming back up because the airbags ended up filling up. I didn't think they were gonna fill up this big and lift it up pretty much back to factory height, but it fucking did. So right now, I pulled a fuse to try to deflate them, but you can see the bags expand a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna go get ready to go take it to alignment, and hopefully by the time I'm done getting ready, all the air will be out, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. All right, it's been a couple days. It's been actually a few weeks since I lowered it. As you could tell, I have the hood on and whatnot. Actually, I don't. I'm pretty sure I didn't have the hood on when I first started. Like I said, it's been a week since I vlogged, a week since I decided to do all this. I was editing other vlogs, but this is what it looks like now, lowered with the 30.5 inch drop kit from DSP. And it is not too bad. The back, maybe like 2 inches or 2 fingers from here, still good to go. Yeah, it looks great. On this side, the right side is slightly lower than the driver's side, and if we look right in there, you can see the upper control arm. It's about, on this side it has maybe like 1.5 inches, 2 inches before it hits the wheel well liner, whatever you guys want to call it. Now on the passenger side, it's a lot lower.
and that gap between the upper control arm and the liner is about an inch or so. So this side bottoms out and scrapes, as you could tell, a lot more. I'm gonna keep it that way. I don't want to. I saw a video where, I don't know if you guys can see it, the little washers, I guess, that go onto the strut. They put some on the right side just so it could be leveled out, because they said the right side drops more for some reason. I decided to just take it all out and just see how far it went. But yeah, it looks great. Just did some measurements. Now keep in mind, these measurements that I did from the fender to the floor and to the mid wheel well to the fender right up here, very rough estimates, but it's as accurate as it's gonna get. I mean, this isn't a flat surface, so it's kind of rocky, so it might be off just a little bit, but this is what I got. So it's gonna be before, and this is after the drop. So all roughly in the area of the 30.5 inch drop. As you can tell, the front right side right here is slightly lower than that left side. But yeah, that's about it. Looks great. I mean, handles good. Over small bumps, it is great. It goes over small bumps a lot better than stock when it's going over large bumps. So I scrape and I bottom out all the time, but that's what I knew. That's what I knew I was going to get myself into. That works good, looks good. One thing I forgot to add was, last time I showed you guys, the rear bags were connected, lifted it up almost to like back to stock height. So I pulled the fuse and I let it go down. So this is it with the fuse undone, so there's no air inside the bags. Also, it's been, like I said, several weeks, so there's been time for it to settle in and whatnot. So I'm pretty sure it's not gonna go down anymore or drag any more than what it is now. But yeah, this is what it looks like when those springs are settled.